Okay, U.S. history students, we're on chapter 12, section 3. We're skipping over 2, section 3. The nation is a little over 50 years old. We fought for our independence, and we've gained it. We've elected 11 presidents as a nation, the latest being James Polk. The idea of manifest destiny has taken hold and has led us to a desire for exploration, adventure, and expansion. It has also led us to war with Mexico. The causes of this war were numerous and complicated. First, Mexico was resentful of the United States' annexation of Texas. Mexico never recognized the independence of Texas. Second, many leaders were eager for expansion into California and New Mexico. Both of those were held by Mexico and the Spanish. The third cause of war was the general hostility between Mexico and the U.S. Remember that Alamo. The fourth cause for war was the failure to reach a settlement over the United States' purchase of California and New Mexico. U.S. was offering $30 million for those territories. Mexico thought that was an insult. The fifth and most important was a dispute over the Texas-Mexico boundary. Mexico claimed the boundary was the Nueces River. U.S. claimed it was the Rio Grande, somewhere farther south. The U.S. sent troops into the disputed area, and Mexican troops attacked. President Polk then called on Congress to declare war. The war was controversial in the U.S. Some thought it was unconstitutional, as it was aggression on our part. They believed Mexico attacked us on their own soil. Others believed Mexico attacked us on our soil, which made it a defensive war, and that would make it constitutional. Either way, we were going to war with a regular army of about 7,000 troops. Many people volunteered, but they were untrained and undisciplined. The war with Mexico consisted of 4 campaigns. The word campaign may sound strange, as we usually think of it in terms of a political race. A campaign in war is a series of planned tactics to bring about a particular outcome, in this case, victory over Mexico. The first campaign was in northern Mexico. Zachary Taylor was commander of the troops there. Taylor's nickname was Old Rough and Ready. He was slightly unkempt and dressed sloppily, and there were times when the troops didn't know who he was. If they were new troops, he wasn't recognized as their commander. His men were devoted to him, but he wasn't good at strategy. And despite this, Taylor was victorious at driving the Mexicans from the Rio Grande. He and his troops battled down to Monterrey and forced a surrender from the Mexican general there. That was not enough to force a peace treaty, and Taylor's troops were given over to Taylor's commander himself. Taylor was left with 4,500 volunteers only. Shortly after that, Taylor was faced with 15,000 Mexican troops under the leadership of Santa Anna. Again, remember that Alamo. Taylor and Santa Anna met at Buena Vista with the U.S. on the defensive. 4,500 men versus 15,000. The Americans held ground, and Mexico tired out and eventually retreated to Mexico City. The second campaign was the New Mexico campaign. There was not much to this one. General Stephen Kearny led 1,500 men down the Santa Fe Trail to capture New Mexico. They did so with almost no resistance, and Kearny then went on to help in California. The California campaign, Captain John C. Fremont, known as the Pathfinder of the West. Fremont supported settlers who revolted against Mexico and established the Bear Flag Republic. That was the name of Texas at the time, remember. Fremont and his troops joined with the new naval commander of the American fleet and quickly conquered all of California. But Californians treated the Spanish living there with really harsh scorn. They mistreated them, they abused them. The Spanish then had an uprising and they recaptured Los Angeles. Fremont and the Marines from the fleet recaptured Los Angeles, and California was then under the U.S. control. The final campaign was in central Mexico. General Winfield Scott, called Old Fuss and Feathers, loved military ceremony and discipline, but he wasn't popular with his men. He was a good strategist, and he led his men into Mexico City, causing Santa Anna to abandon that city, and the war was over. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended hostilities with Mexico. The U.S. gained Texas south to the Rio Grande. They gained New Mexico and California. The U.S. paid Mexico $15 million and assumed the debt owed to the American citizens. That's the end of Section 3. You have an assignment on it. Some of you have already sent it in. Miss you guys.